I will say something for Middlesbrough, though. It does have the heart of a lion. Like, the people there, they have true grit. Such damage to the country. It's such cultural vandalism. It's a terrible crime. It really is.
More British Muslims left this country and joined ISIS than were actually in the British Army.
I don't know whether it's going to get worse. I don't know whether it's going to get better, but at least people are opening their eyes and they're seeing the situation for what it truly is, which is worrying and it's terrible. And it's so bad we can't even mention the term on YouTube. So
I think it's definitely going to get worse before it gets better, but I think it definitely is going to get better. And the reason why it's going to get worse is because the elite, the political class, will not go without a fight. We're going to get more draconian laws coming in. They're going to come down harder on people. We've seen now, we have political prisoners now in the UK. You tweet the wrong thing, you can go to jail, where we don't always send paedophiles and rapists to jail anymore now in this country. But tweet the wrong thing, jail. So things are going to get tougher and tougher. But that's actually a good sign. That's a good sign of an authoritarian regime that's just about to collapse, because they're turning to more extreme measures. And when you're talking about the change to the country, this is what I tell people. My home city, Manchester. Manchester, in the census a couple of years ago, 2021 census, Manchester now is white English is now a minority in my city. A third of the people in my city were not even born in the UK. A third of my city are people who are born in other parts of the world. That's all happened in my lifetime. The change is absolutely shocking in many parts of the country. Well, what's it like in your neck of the woods?
Well, Middlesbrough's just a hop and a skip away from Manchester. It's like, what, an hour and a half or something. So it's exactly the same. It's probably progressed a little bit worse because Middlesbrough is a smaller town. It's obviously, it's like a cancer. It grows in the city centre and it spreads outwards. So the closer you get to the train station, for example, the less white people live there, want to be there. It's a pretty harrowing place to be. And I will say something for Middlesbrough, though. It does have the heart of a lion. Like, the people there, they have true grit. Like, they just do not give a shit. They have genuine grit. They were the first people to criticize King Charlie on his merry hop around the UK, on his sponsorship tour, or whatever he does for the country. And they were the first ones to say, "Not my king," which, that's their choice. And, I like stuff like that. Middlesbrough was one of the first ones to kick off during the riots. It was, during the movement of peace that went throughout the country. So there is, I'm proud of where I'm from. I'm proud of the people. I'm proud of our country, culture, history, all the big words. I'm proud of all that stuff. I don't think it's something that we should be indoctrinated to accept, that it should be just a passing phase in our history and we move on to something that's completely foreign and completely made up in a lab on a spreadsheet or something, and just accept the destruction of our national sovereignty and identity, but also the regional identities. Like, that's going to be, once those are gone, they're gone forever. And I know that they're going at a fast rate as well. A lot, like, you look at London with the people like the Cockneys. There's probably no more Cockneys. They're gone forever. It's such damage to the country. It's such cultural vandalism. It's a terrible crime. It really is. I know I'm swinging from like trying to make jokes to being like serious, but like, you can't really get away from how serious this is and what the damage to the country is. It's historic. It's forever. Like, how do you get this back?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I saw one of your videos the other day, and you were talking about recruitment in the army. You referenced the American Army and the British Army, and you showed two advertisements that the armies in both countries are doing to attract more recruits. Could you talk about that for a minute?
Yeah, sure. It just showed the disparity between the way that the UK government perceives its people and the way that the American government perceives its people. And the video is a really stark portrayal of that. And if you really want to find out what the government thinks about you, go watch that video.
The American one was what you would expect maybe from 10 years ago, even though it was brand new now. It was tanks and blowing up and men training and diving into water. And it was showing you what masculinity is about, putting your life, for your country, looking after the people next to you. And it was what an army advertisement looked like nearly all my life up to about 10 years ago. And then
It looked like a 90s movie.
yeah, exactly. And then we looked at the British one, and the British one was a group of 5 soldiers in camo gear walking across the hills and mountains. And suddenly they all stop. And one of the soldiers looks Asian. He takes his hat off. He pulls out a prayer mat. He washes his face. He starts praying towards Mecca. And all the other guys just sit down and wait for him to finish. And then they all get up and carry on marching.
Very politely.
Very politely. Yeah. And it's a good job. Nobody was shooting at him at the time.
Very good job, yeah.
And it was basically saying, if you're a Muslim, please come join the British Army, which is quite surprising because there's only about 500 Muslims in the British Army. And at the height of ISIS, more British Muslims left this country and joined ISIS than were actually in the British Army. I just found it a crazy advertisement.
It is crazy, but it's sort of like it's linked to all the craziness that's already going on behind the scenes. Like they say Muslims are not a problem. This is going to get demonetized. They say Muslims are not a problem, right? Or Islam is not a problem. But you look at the percentage of Muslims in the UK compared to the crime that they commit, compared to their attitude towards the natives, compared to what they're doing within the power structures of our legal system and our democracy, how they stitch up the votes so they vote in blocks. They vote for one person and everyone has to vote for that person, regardless of what they think. Their imams will tell them within all the mosques to vote for that one person. They make a mockery of democracy. And then when they're in those positions of power, they legislate for anti-white law and discrimination against anyone who deems or speaks about their religion in any kind of terms that is not the best, most endearing, the most amazing. So if you see even a slight thing about Islam that's negative, they want to do you for Islamophobia. And of course, that reaches into how people report on the crimes, who reports on the crimes, whether they listen to those people, how far they investigate it, who investigates it, whether they're actually culpable for them. It's far-reaching, it's very cancerous, it's very disgusting. I don't like it very much. I think there should be more done about it. And I think, again, that's one of those issues where a lot of people have been thinking this for a long time without saying it because they're too scared, but they just don't care about being called Islamophobic anymore, which is why they wanted to make it law, by the way. They wanted to prosecute people for saying anything bad about Islam because they just don't give a shit anymore. They don't care about being called a racist. They don't care about being called Islamophobic or a xenophobe or a bigot or whatever else you want to call them. They're done. The labels mean nothing anymore. And you mentioned this earlier. Why? Why don't they mean anything? Well, I think the BLM thing was the straw that broke the camel's back. I think we realized then that it was never about race. It's never been about race. It's never been about tolerance or any of this. It's about the destruction of your values and only yours. They're going to tear down your statues and only yours. They're going to change the law so it favors them and it doesn't favor you. And they'll call it equity, right? There's all kinds of things that they're going to do to make sure that you are pulled down while they are pushed and elevated. And we see it. It's linked to racism, but you can link it to Islamophobia. You can link it to anti-Semitism. You can link it to anything that tries to shut you up. The label itself is the toxic thing that wears you down and puts a collar around your neck.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm writing a book at the moment on Anglophobia, hatred of the English, which also means the British, which also means the Anglosphere, which basically means the Western world. That's what Anglophobia means now. And I've come to the conclusion in that book, and one of the chapters is dedicated to it. The reason why we're under attack at the moment is because of envy and jealousy. It's as simple as that. We've got other people around the world, different cultures, and they're going, why is my culture? Why is my world not a first world country? Why are we failing? It's either because they're better than us or they've cheated. And do you know what? it's easy for me to accept that they're cheated. They rob the world. They're evil. White people are colonialists. White people empire. White people are racist. They've kept everybody else down because the alternative is we're just not good enough. And I don't think anyone can accept that internally.
Well, the thing is, and I'm going to stick my neck out a little bit here, but it might have something to do with fear as well. Like, I think fear is like a really strong motivator of people that we often don't look into, because fear is something that it's pervasive and it lasts a long time. Like, you might be happy, right? For a short time. Like, someone gives you a coffee, very short time that you're going to be happy. You might have sex and you might have euphoria that lasts a short time and then you're back to normal. But fear sticks. It stays with you constantly. It never leaves you. And it's actually reinforced with negative emotions and negative behavioral patterns. And as you live your life, you've got this fear that you carry around, and you're constantly feeding it with all your negative stereotypes and all the bullshit and the indoctrination that you're taught. And you see it every day, right? Even if it's not there. That's the thing that we need to tackle, that absolute garbage. That's the thing. I don't know where I was going with that. Wait, I've just skipped off the beat. What was the initial question?
We were talking about jealousy and envy.
Yeah. Okay. So it's the fear that they hold, that they carry around, that they want to get rid of, right? They don't want that fear. It makes them feel uncomfortable. And the only thing that they can do to get rid of that fear is to destroy the thing that scares them, destroy this white identity, destroy this white history, destroy this white culture, this thing that they're told is oppressing them 24 hours a day, that's scaring them all the time. Destroy it no matter what. You can lie, you can deceive, you can do whatever you do to get into those positions of power that allows you to pull that lever that destroys the thing that is scaring you.
And let's not forget, fear is a natural base emotion. Fear keeps us alive. You know, it can be warped sometimes, but being fearful of a saber-toothed tiger is quite a sensible thing to be fearful of. Being fearful of strangers is quite a sensible thing to be fearful of, because you don't know what those people are going to do. Fear keeps us alive, but it can be warped, especially when there's nothing out there to be fearful of.
That's the best one. That's the best one. If you can make people scared of nothing, if you can make people scared of something that they are creating themselves, this idea, this thing, this nebulous vacuum that they can fill themselves, that's genius. I mean, it's self. I don't want. Is it propagating? Self-propagating? Is that the word? Yeah. It just goes on and feeds itself. It's genius. Don't get me wrong, but it's insane. Like, it's mental. And honestly, I do think, I will say this, I think that the West itself, if we weren't infected with this self-delusion, this doubt that gnaws at us, or this belief that we're not allowed to be proud of ourselves and we're not allowed to really try as hard as we could, imagine what the West would look like. So their fear is probably in a grounded reality. Like, if white people really decided, you know what, fuck all you guys, we're just going to make the world the best for us. Not good for them. Like, really not good for them. Like, I understand where the fear comes from, but they have gone way, way over the line. Like, this is invasion. Like, there's no two ways about it. This is a crime against humanity, like I mentioned earlier. This is too far, and this will be remembered for all time. So I would advise them: you either finish the job, or holy shit, reap the whirlwind.